When we look at the world around, we are instantly struck by its complexity. Man has not only adapted himself to the world and its conditions, as he must for survival, he has to a large extent successfully modified the environment to suit his needs. A significant result of this interaction between man and environment is the series of material changes brought about in the world. The rapidity of change, taking place in the social, political, and economic environments, is creating a marked impact on organizations, as well as individuals. The pace of change has varied in recent times. Most of the developments we see now have taken place in the last 100 years, and is likely to accelerate. By the end of this course, you will be able to define change, describe organizational change, identify different types of change, review methods to effectively manage change, review models of organizational change, identify various responses to change, review reasons for resistance, and examine different types of resistance. The concept of organizational change can be better understood on several grounds. Firstly, organizational change includes a variety of changes which may not always be planned, and whose objectives may not be very clear. Secondly, organizational change also includes those changes that may occur with the passage of time. Besides being gradual and steady, these changes are necessary for the survival of an organization. Thirdly, and finally, organizational change may not be measurable. Scholars W. Warner Burke and Warren H. Schmidt have explained organizational change as modifying some part of the organization's structure, or implementing a new work process for people. They further state that organizational change is an aspect of organization development. The rate of change is faster than our ability to comprehend and cope with it. Change can be defined as to make or become different, give or begin to have a different form. Can also mean dissatisfaction with the old and belief in the new. Underlies a qualitatively different way of perceiving, thinking, and behaving, to improve over the past and present. Can be seen as continuous and intrinsic to an organization, or extrinsic and discontinuous. Can be patterned and predictable, or complex and unpredictable. Is dual, or bipolar. Continuity without change leads to stagnation, frustration, and boredom in individuals, and change without continuity leads to ambiguity, conflict, and degenerative pathology in individuals and organizations. To be able to adopt or deal with the impact of change forces, organizations may plan for, experience, or undergo change. The possible types of change are classified here. Happen change, reactive change, anticipatory change, plan change, incremental change, operational change, strategic change, directional change, fundamental change, total change, transformational change, revolutionary change, recreation. Happen change is change that is rather unpredictable, and that takes place naturally, due to external factors. This type of change occurs when an organization reaches a plateau in its life cycle, and falls prey to unwieldy demands from the environment. For example, currency devaluation, over which it has no control, adversely affects the business of a company that has to import its basic raw material. Changes that are clearly in response to an event, or a series of events, are termed reactive. These changes are attempted when the demand for a company's product or service registers an increase or decrease, or a crisis occurs or develops. Change carried out in expectation of an event, or a series of events, is called anticipatory change. This gives a competitive edge. For example, Pepsi recently announced it would be investing millions of dollars over the next few years for its operations in Mexico. Pepsi, which began its operations in Mexico in 1938, has a large market share of Mexican cola sales, and plans to improve this figure. Organizations, in terms of their anticipation, may tune in or reorient themselves to future demands. Planned change is undertaken to improve upon the current ways of operating. It is a calculated change, initiated to achieve a certain desirable output or performance, and to make the organization more responsive to internal and external demands. For example, in 1993, the Dutch multinational Philips retrenched thousands of jobs in its consumer electronics division. Change is directed at the micro level, and focused on units, subunits, and components within an organization, are termed incremental changes. Changes are broad and gradually, and are usually adaptive in nature. It also provides the organization an opportunity to learn from its own experiences. Operational change is necessary when an organization needs to improve the quality of its products or services due to external competition, customers' changing requirements and demands, or internal organizational dynamics. Operational changes include bringing in new technology, re-engineering the work processes, quality management, better distribution and delivery of products, and enhancing interdepartmental coordination. Change that is addressed to the organization as a whole, or to most of the organization's components, including strategy, may be called strategic change. A good example could be a change in the organization's management style. An organization can take steps to change its overall corporate management philosophy, in an attempt to create an organization which is less hierarchical, leaner, flexible, decentralized, and which allows itself a considerable degree of autonomy. This move will affect the entire organization, and will influence its performance. A change in direction may become imperative for an organization, due to severe competition, or regulatory shifts in government policy and control, for example, on pricing, import, and export restrictions. Fundamental change entails a redefinition of the current purpose or mission of the organization. It may be necessitated by drastic changes in the business environment, the failure of the current corporate leadership, problems with employee morale, or a low turnover. For total change, the organization is considered to develop a new vision and a strong link between its strategy, employees, and business performance. Total change is necessary to extricate the organization from the rut that has set in, due to long-term failure of business, employee-organization value incongruence, estrangement of operations from the reality of the business environment, and concentration of power in the hands of a few people, who could be furthering their personal interests at the cost of the organization. Transformational change involves the entire or a greater part of the organization. It could be a change in the shape, structure, or nature of the organization. Transformational change takes time to occur, and will not happen unless people are uncomfortable in the current state, and think and feel change is necessary. Abrupt changes in organizational strategy and design represent revolutionary change. There are 3 such changes. Click each change to learn more. Recreation involves a significant or drastic change in an organization's strategy and design, or a radical departure from its current practices to achieve a total transformation. For example, the Ford Motor Company, in a few years, recreated itself to become a quality and product-conscious profitable company, shedding its earlier image of being rigidly bureaucratic and driven by financial considerations. Once an organization formulates a strategy in line with its vision and purpose, the next stage is the implementation of the strategy, which will transport the organization from its current state to the desired state. The movement from here to there is characterized by three sequential stages: the current state, the transition state, and the new state. This may require a different structure and implementing strategy at each stage. Managing change, therefore, necessitates setting up different management structures. For example, the interim structure, to handle the business of the business, the transition management structure, to smoothen the change process, and a structure, to streamline the new state. The three states will be contiguous with each other, in varying proportions, at the different stages of change implementation. Change has become an inevitable feature of organizational life in today's competitive business world. Change can manifest itself in two forms. It can either simply happen to an organization, or it can be systematically planned. Experts recommend bringing about planned change, since it increases an organization's effectiveness. The models of planned change, which have received considerable attention in the field of management, are Lewin's change model, the planning model, the action research model, and the integrative planning model. Kurt Lewin provided one of the early models of planned change. According to him, change underlies the modification of those forces that keep a system's behavior stable. Organizations, like human beings, continue to strive to maintain a steady state. The level of behavior, at any point of time, is the result of two sets of forces. One striving to maintain the status quo, and the other pushing for change. When both these sets of forces are about equal, current levels of behavior are maintained, and this Lewin termed quasi-stationary equilibrium. Change can be planned by altering the existing state, either by increasing the forces pushing for change, or decreasing the forces maintaining the current state, or applying a combination of both. Organizational change can occur at three levels. Click each level to learn more. The basis of change, according to Lewin's model, consists of three steps. Click each step to learn more. British Airways was a government-owned business, which received regular subsidies. The growing deregulation of international air traffic, and the attendant price wars, led to its privatization in 1982. The pressure to change, exerted on BA by the external environment, was intense, resulting in internal organizational changes that were massive and widespread. They transformed the BA culture, from what BA managers described as bureaucratic and militaristic, to one that is currently described as service-oriented and market-driven. 5 years after the change effort began, BA had successfully moved from government ownership to private ownership, and both passenger and cargo revenues has increased dramatically, leading to a substantial increase in its share price. Each change is interpreted by individuals according to their attitudes. The way that people feel about a change is one factor that determines how they will respond to it. These feelings are due to personal history, which refers to people's biological processes, their backgrounds, and their entire social experiences, away from work. A second cause is the work environment itself. It reflects the fact that workers are members of a group, and their attitudes are influenced by its codes, patterns, and norms. Employees may resist changes for three broad reasons. First, they may not feel comfortable with the nature of the change itself. It may violate their moral belief system. People may resist change because of their fear of the unknown, threats to their job security, or the lack of a demonstrated problem. The second reason for resistance stems from the method by which change is introduced. People may resent having been ill-informed, or they may reject an insensitive and authoritarian approach that did not involve them in the change process. A third reason for resistance is the inequity experienced when people perceive themselves being changed, while someone else appears to gain the benefits of the change. People disagree with the nature of the change, dislike the method used, and do not see a personal gain for themselves. There are 3 types of resistance. Click each type of resistance to learn more. In this course, we have learned about the importance of change in an organization. We have learned to identify different types of change and reviewed methods by which change can be effectively managed. We have also examined ways that people respond to change and review the reasons for resistance.